Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Burn Bootcamp podcast. This is episode 32. It's called How to Stay Optimistic in an Ever-Changing World. If you are like Trisha and I, then the world comes at you from all directions. It almost entices you to be pessimistic. We're going to talk about 5 strategies on the podcast today that are going to tool you up, give you some armor, give you an opportunity to fight against all the pessimism and to turn yourself into an optimistic person. Optimism is a muscle, and we're going to teach you how to train that muscle today here on the Burn Bootcamp podcast. Let's go. Welcome to the Burn Podcast, where strength meets science, food fuels energy, and mindset creates momentum. I'm DK, your personal trainer, and I want you to train, eat, and think differently. So get ready to take your health and fitness to the next level here on the Burn Podcast. Let's get to work. All right, everybody. Listen, this is a really great topic. Pessimism is everywhere. It comes at you. And, one thing that's true, and I think is the foundation to this entire podcast today. One thing is true, and that is optimistic people are orders of magnitude more successful in life than pessimistic people. We're going to talk about why that is. That's not my opinion. That's just what it is. We're going to talk about it. And we're going to talk about how you can become somebody who is optimistic. But before we do that, all right, what we're going to do is just catch you up on a little bit of everything that's going on here on the Burn Bootcamp podcast. Last week's episode was episode number 30, Never Break a Fast Without Doing This Thing First. The podcast is gaining some momentum, people. Thank you for subscribing, watching, listening. If you've listened to more than or watched more than one episode and you're not subscribed on YouTube, please head over to YouTube and help us grow our subscriber base. The more people that we have subscribed, the more health, wellness, happiness we're able to spread out there in the world. So we appreciate it in advance for being a part of the mission. Trisha, how are you today?
I'm doing great. And I wanted to kind of lean into what you had to say, Devan, is Apple podcast just released some data. And what we found in that data is that people like you are searching for health and fitness topics. And that's what we want to lean into. We know that that's shaping culture, and we're really excited to be part of this journey. So please share this. We know people are really just wanting to get on track and to live the best life that they possibly can.
Yeah, we were talking with producer Chelsea and Jordan off camera here before the podcast started, and just really discussing like what is it that the Burn Bootcamp podcast really is, and why do we know that it will inevitably be the most successful health and fitness podcast out there? And it's because what we're doing is we're taking up all of the goodness that is Burn, all the goodwill that is Burn Bootcamp, and the hundreds of thousands of people who are currently members right now, and the millions that have worked out with us in the history of our organization, and we're kind of bottling that up and putting it into this long form for you so that you can not only train in the gym, but you can also train outside of the gym. And so share this with a Burn sister or a Burn brother who might not know about the podcast. Let them know that we are here 2 times a week, every single week, 1 interview and 1 HQ Crew episode with Trisha and I. And we usually kind of go right into an ad segment, but instead of that today, what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk about the open gyms that we've had in the recent months. So if you guys can hang with me for a moment, this is the outcome of when you're an optimistic person. What happens is you chase your dreams, you go for it because you think there is something that at the end of that struggle, at the end of that pain, that's worth it for you. Okay, and being a business owner, being an entrepreneur is something that is, I would say, admirable. What's another word? Noble is another word for it, because like you're just jumping off this proverbial cliff with no real like certainty that your parachute's going to deploy and that you're going to land on the ground safely. And entrepreneurship is only for the optimistic people. So, Trisha, we've opened a lot of locations this year. We've opened a lot of them.
Like over 30.
Yeah, we've opened over 33 just this last weekend. I'm going through my notes here. We got a bunch of gyms that have opened just this month, so I can't go all the way back.
I've got it up on the screen.
Do you got it on the screen?
The ones that
let's
just opened.
go. Okay, so these are the most recent that have opened. South Tampa, welcome to Burn Nation. Number 4 448. We have Karen and Rob Katz. Shout out to Karen and Rob. South Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
Woo!
Let's go.
448. It's their lucky number now. Nicole and Troy, number 449 in the great state of Ohio, Marysville. You guys are in for a treat. Westchester, Ohio. There's enough treadways in this photo for a whole bus of treadways. Lindsay, Zach, Julie, Brian, Westchester, Ohio.
Fun
Congratulations. 450. Can you believe it's number 450? Oh my goodness. We'll talk about that in a second. Chelsea,
fact.
fun fact.
That's my hometown.
Oh, no way. Westchester?
I'm literally like 10 minutes from that gym.
All right, is that Buckeye country?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
Painting the state of Ohio blue.
Well, I know Brian Treadway used to be a San Francisco Giant like I did. I don't think either one of us made it to the big leagues, but we both share
World.
being in that organization. And Zach Treadway, go back to that photo one time. He's the guy all the way on the left. He was a catcher at UNC Charlotte, I believe. And Brian and I would both strike out Zach. We know that. That's for sure. And obviously the notorious Lindsay Treadway, who has opened several locations here at Burn and been a trainer at not only her gyms, but Lake Norman for a long period of time.
And Burn On Demand.
Burn On Demand. She's a staple. She's the OG, the OGest of the OGs. Lindsay, Zach, Julie, Brian, congratulations. And we can go back a little bit further, too. I'm going to do that real quick before we get into the meat of it, everyone here today, because I want you guys to know what locations out there are available now for you to go to. And the weekend before that, we opened 2. North Asheville was 446, Rebecca and Brent Fisher. And then also Port St. Lucie, Florida, 447, Monica and David Marshall. So there is Monica and David.
Let's go.
Flexing on them.
I love that he's on her back.
Uh-huh.
That's cute.
Do we have the Asheville one in this carousel too? And there's Rebecca and Brent. Awesome. All right. We're going to keep going. 450, Trisha.
Mm-hmm.
Can you believe it?
We're going to 500. We're coming for you.
We're talking about mindset today, people. And the reason we want to talk about how many locations the Burn Bootcamp is opening is because the mindset to open 500 locations was born 10 years ago. I believed when we were sitting in a restaurant booth with our franchise partners, Holly, Justin, Strickland, one of their trainers, and Morgan. I looked at them and I said, "We're going to open 500 locations. We have 630 something awarded now."
Mm-hmm.
But at the time, I was like, "We're going to do 500," and they all kind of looked at me like I was a little bit crazy, and I am, and that's okay. And I honestly, my kids look at me sometimes, and when Morgan's like, "Devan, you're weird," and I'm like, "Thank you." I'm like, God, great. That's like a compliment to me because who wants to be normal? We're not here to be average. I'm here crazy, weird. You call it whatever adjective that you want to describe me. Optimistic is the best one, and that's the one that I find I take the most pride in is being somebody who is optimistic because it hadn't always been that way in my life. Mm-hmm. There was a period of time where I was ultimately pessimistic because of the environment that was around. And I know pessimism is a muscle because I trained my body, my mind to be optimistic rather than pessimistic. And then I started attracting people like you, Trish, mm-hmm. who look at the world and they see opportunity. We don't look at the world and we see struggle. We don't look at the world and we see tension or frustration. We see opportunity and we see the capability that we have matching up with an opportunity that there is out there in the world. So open us up. Optimism to you means what? Has there been a time in your life, Trisha, where you've been a pessimistic person? I know there's times of pessimism for all of us, but there's a difference between being a pessimistic person, and that's your personality, versus, having ups and downs.
Well, I mean, I think optimism means living a great life because I think back, because we all have times of pessimism and times of, especially if you're surrounding yourself with pessimistic people and you get deep down and everything is negative, everything looks ugly, it's not fun. But if you look at the world with the glass half full instead of the glass half empty, the world starts to light up. And I was voted most gullible in high school, and I think that that's because I've always wanted to believe the best. I've always wanted to believe that we can make anything happen if we put our mind to it. It's just something that I think has been ingrained in me, and I don't know if it's because of my childhood and what I've kind of gone through, and I've had to learn that I could either look at life like it sucks and what I've gone through sucks, because we've all gone through moments of suck, or I can say that didn't define me. I'm going to create a better life for me, a better life for my kids, a better life for my family. And that's how I choose to start my day. I will say that it's hard. It is so hard to remain optimistic 100% of every single day, but it's definitely a goal of mine. It's definitely how I want to start each and every single one of my days.
And life happens on purpose for us. And I so think this is a fundamental belief of an optimist, is that life is on purpose for us, and it is not doing unto us, but any struggle that is in my way is a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just a choice. This is a mindset. This is why optimism is a muscle. Because if I believe that the obstacles in my way weren't like, put there to stop me from reaching my inevitable potential, but if I look at them as a catalyst to show me either what to do or what not to do on my way to fulfilling my potential, it's the same obstacle that we're going to face. But is it really the same? If I look at it from a pessimistic point of view, it's not the same obstacle. It might be the same it might have the same physical characteristics. A speed bump is a speed bump,
Mm-hmm.
right? But do I hit a speed bump and go, wee, that was fun, right? Or do I approach a speed bump and go, hold on, everybody, hold on tight, and make sure that you clench really hard and you get tense, and we're going to hit this bump and it's going to bottom the car out. What mindset do you take
Mm-hmm.
as you approach your everyday life? So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about how to actually train your body, your mind, your spirit, your emotion to be optimistic and to think in this way. It's not going to change overnight. I use the oak tree metaphor quite often
Mm-hmm.
because we do have this neuroplasticity characteristic of our brain that basically means that we can wire and rewire our brain and different regions of our brain together to form different habits and different behavior patterns and really thought patterns. We talk about the groove, like the neural pathway groove, that the more you think in a certain way, that the stronger that grows. So the oak tree metaphor is like, hey, you can have one thought one time about, being an optimistic person, or, I think I can start that business, or I think I can take this weight loss journey on and actually really make some progress here. I really believe that I can. And if you have that kind of first step of momentum, that's like planting the seed. And if you just keep watering that seed over and over with that same thought, I can, then the thinking turns into knowing, and knowing, you graduate from thinking to knowing when the seedling becomes like the remnants of like some like little plant. And, those plants are, when they first start growing, they're all weak and flimsy, and you could like just bat one over and it's going to break in half, right? It's not very sturdy, it's fragile. And it's the same way as you start to strengthen your mind and become an optimistic person, is you're going to go through that period where that optimism is fragile, and you're going to have something happen to you. The wind's going to blow south, and you might bend, you might break, right? At that stage of the game. But if we keep watering the seed over and over and over and giving it sunlight, what happens to that seed after a while? It becomes an immovable oak tree if you give it long enough, if you protect it long enough so that the wind can't come over and break the stem. So that's what we're trying to do. And whether today is planting a seed for you, or you're in the phase in which you're trying to strengthen this like kind of adolescent belief, or you are an oak tree. Okay, you're an oak tree of optimism. The reality is that that's where we're trying to get to. Some of you could be an oak tree of pessimism, because you have, for the last 30 years of your life, reinforced pessimism over and over and over, that life is happening to you, not for you. And so you're going to have to do some hard work, and it's not going to take, a day or a podcast or 2 or 3 or 4. Keep showing up and keep listening to the podcast. That's one thing that you can do, is go to the gym, show up, listen to the podcast, and inevitably Trisha and I will give you the rub. Your trainers at your location will give you the rub, and you'll start you'll start, how would you say, denourishing that pessimistic oak tree. And what happens if you stop watering something?
Dies.
Even if it's big and it's got history and it's got years to fortify and grow strong, you stop watering it, it starts dying.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happens just over time, Trisha, if you stop watering it, giving it sunlight overall, the tree dies. And then we can plant a new tree. So I'm done with the metaphor, but it's wherever you're at, whether you're a pessimistic oak tree, we're trying to get to that positive version. Okay, so it might take a lot of unwinding and then rebuilding. That's part of what this is for. I want to be the person that comes here and helps you reshape the way you think. You go to the gym, reshape your body, but I want to reshape your mind. Your mind is a muscle. So we're going to talk about change and how the perspective on change is the fundamental decision that you have to make. How do you view change? How do you view controlling your inner world? How do you anchor yourself? What do you do to protect the inputs, the external environment coming in to shape your inner world? And then are you choosing difficult responsibility? Are you stepping up and taking responsibility? Or are you waiting for people to give you responsibility? These are the topics that we're going to cover today. Trisha and I are going to go back and forth as we go through these topics. Anything to add, Trish, to set the stage on optimism, pessimism being a muscle that we can flex, that we can grow, before we dive into the topics here?
No, I just think it goes a lot of it goes back to your emotional intelligence. We talk a lot about EQ and about how what we do in the gym builds that your emotional intelligence because you are doing things that you didn't think you could do. And I think that the same goes for optimism is you're in the gym and I can't do that. I can't do that. That's a negative attitude. Trainer hands you a weight. I believe in you. You did that. You're starting to build that muscle in the gym. And that's where we talk about a lot of Burn Boot Camp. And you're a member, you know this to be true, is you take that same mentality and you experiment outside of the four walls. I couldn't do that in the gym and then I did it. I couldn't do this at work and now I'm going to try and go for that promotion or whatever it might be. So you flip the script and it's no longer a negative, it's a positive. And how can I get there? So I think that's what I just wanted to drive it all back to is it's building emotional intelligence and that's something that you can improve.
So there's one thing I know about human beings that we all share. And one thing I know that depending on the, vertical of your life or the situation, you, myself, Trisha, we all get in a place of fear from time to time. And the one thing that you can fear that reinforces pessimism is change. Mm. If you fear change, then that is an underlying, that's like a foundation for you to be a pessimist. Okay? And why is that? Why is that? Ask yourself that question. Why is me fearing change a catalyst to being a pessimistic person? Do you want to take a shot at that? Why is...
Because you're thinking about all the negative things that could happen to you if you change something, rather than looking at it as the positive things that can happen to you.
And then we sit back and we analyze and we paralyze and we analyze and we paralyze and we analyze and we paralyze. And change becomes this thing that is inevitably very scary for us, right? Mm-hmm. So here's a metaphor for everybody. And change works just like this, okay? So we all have seasons in our lives of reaping and sowing. And you might have heard of this metaphor before from a man named Jim Rohn. That's where I heard it. And Jim Rohn is a founding father. If we want to show a picture of Jim Rohn. Jim Rohn is a founding father of personal development, and he's the mentor to Tony Robbins. And, a lot of people credit Tony Robbins with coming up with all these ideas, but really a lot of them are stem from his mentor, Jim Rohn. So this is the guy here behind Tony Robbins, and he gives this metaphor of reaping and sowing. And he talks about change in the following way. He says, change is always changing. Change is like the seasons. You have winter. What comes after winter? You have spring. What comes after spring? You have summer. What comes after summer? You have fall. And after every winter comes what? Every winter. What comes after every winter, Chelsea?
Spring.
What comes after every spring?
Summer.
What comes after every summer?
Fall.
What comes after every fall?
Winter.
And we repeat that cycle over and over and over and over. Change works the exact same way. Change is always coming. Change is always going to bring periods of reaping. And what follows those periods of reaping? What follows the winter? After the cold, harsh winter kills all the food, buries all the trees, forces you to be in famine, what happens after the winter? What happens in the spring?
Flowers start to bloom.
We bloom, we get warm. Change happens. Flowers come in, flowers start to bloom. The showers are upon us. What happens then in the summer?
It gets hot.
It gets hot. What happens to all those flowers?
They die.
They die. They get crushed. They're scorched by the sun. Is this a great period during the summer for harvesting? For planting new seeds for new plants? No, why? Because they're going to burn right away.
Yep.
What comes after summer?
Fall.
Fall. What happens in the fall? It's a season of harvest.
Mm-hmm.
It's where we plant all of our seeds. Okay? So, whether I got that metaphor exactly right or not, you get what I'm talking about, right? That there's a period of time for planting seeds. There's a period of time for maintaining those seeds. There's a period of time for reaping the benefit of all that hard work. And there's a period of time where you don't plant. There's a period of time where you're supposed to go through the hardships. But it's that winter season that we all fear. And we all fear winter because it's change. And this is the period of time where change is scary, because change now, we're staring at winter as really metaphor for death.
Mm-hmm.
We're staring at lifelessness in the winter, and we are very scared of that. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yep.
You guys out there, you following me? So because we fear the winter, we fear change in general, and because we fear change in general, it forces us to be reclused in the winter, rather than throwing on your snowboard and your goggles and going out and saying, "Woo! It's winter. Let's go, baby. We're going snowboarding. We're going out to Park City. We're going to go skiing. We're going to have hot chocolate. We're going to sit around." Instead of doing that, you put on all your extra gear and you huddle up and you hold on to what you have. And anybody that you freeze to death because you're stagnant and you're rigid and you don't move because you're not anticipating change. So change is always changing. Don't fight change. Don't be the person in the winter trying to hold on to everything. That's the pessimistic mindset. Be the person in the winter that doesn't freeze to death because they're pessimistic, but that is out there snowboarding and having fun because they're optimistic.
Mm-hmm.
Make sense?
It makes sense.
The waves are going to keep coming. Here's another metaphor. The waves are going to keep coming. Wave after wave after wave after wave after wave. Are you going to drown in the riptide or are you going to surf?
Mm-hmm.
It's your choice. Learn to surf.
Mm-hmm.
Learn to surf or get drowned in the riptide because you were unwilling to adapt to your environment. That's what takes a lot of people out, and that's what puts us in a mindset to be pessimistic because we fear change.
Mm-hmm.
Make sense?
Makes
Anything
sense.
to add to number one there?
No, I think you covered it.
I'm reading a book right now. This is actually a book on business, but it's called The No Rules Rules.
Mm-hmm.
And it basically takes, it's just really interesting. And I'm going to kind of jump from this kind of metaphor down into business, but you can also look at your relationship or fitness or whatever desire that you have in your life in this way. The No Rules Rules basically was a book that Netflix wrote because Netflix looked at corporate America, the power suit, power tie, 1970s, 1980s, early 1990s corporate America,
Mm-hmm.
and said, we're going to do this differently.
Yep.
That we are going to take this culture, right, of winter, and we're going to change this into a culture of spring in corporate America. And the No Rules Rules basically unwound all the pessimistic rules and laws of corporate America,
Mm-hmm.
and basically stopped watering that seed and replanted a seed, one of optimism, one of trusting and believing in high-performing people, and gives the ultimate flexibility and the ultimate responsibility in the dichotomy of those two things to high-performing people with way less rigid rules,
Mm-hmm.
right? So they went from this oh no, I need to hold on to everything mentality in corporate America to like, okay, we're not gonna fear change. We're gonna be the catalyst to change.
Yeah.
And look at what Netflix did. It completely changed the world.
It is interesting if you think about like just opportunity, because how are you going to create more opportunity if you don't have change? And I'm appreciative of how you and Morgan have built our company and how you do put a lot of trust in your leaders on making sure that we know the vision, but it's the opportunity is at our fingertips. And to see the opportunity, nothing excites me more. And you need people like that. Otherwise, if you're just going to do it the same way of the company that I came from, that's not going to get us very far because we have completely different goals. We have different vision. We have different membership base. So I can't take everything I learned from my previous company. I have to change my mindset. I have to change my thought process, but I still learned a lot that I can bring and I can add value to the company that I'm at now.
Yes.
I think that's how you look at every situation in life.
I think so too. Let's talk about controlling your inner world. This is one, we've talked about this a lot. And we've even mentioned this on the podcast before. I wrote about this in the Burn book, which is on Amazon. If you'd like to read, I've got 2 books. Stop Starting Over was the first one. I released that in August of 2018. And then we followed that up with Burn, which was a number 9 on the USA Today's bestseller list in health and fitness. We followed up with Burn, the 5-step strategy to inner and outer strength. And part of the inner strength was this concept of controlling your inner world, which is really 3 things. The set of your mind, which is your mindset. Your, or you could also say belief is another word for that. Your effort, how hard you work and how much you apply yourself, how industrious you are. And then your attitude, right? This is pessimism or optimism. Fundamentally, what direction do you generally take? And it made me start to think about, like, I know it's football season right now, and
Go Lions.
Yeah, let's go. Go Lions. Go Panthers. I went to the Panthers game. That was a great game.
That was a great game.
Wow. With my family, took my kids to their first ever Panthers game, which was
You went
really
to the
fun.
right one.
Yeah, it was the right game. And I started thinking about attitude, effort, belief, controlling your inner world. Weirdly enough, I'm at the football game thinking about the podcast, and then at the podcast thinking about the football game. Welcome to a day in the life of me. But it's so important that we understand that this plays out in all contexts of life. This is such an obvious context, football, that it can play out in, that I wanted to show you a clip. This clip comes from the Bills versus the Browns in 2017. This was a classic low-scoring game. If you think about the game of football, what do you really think about, right? A nice, mild, sunny, like either, Saturday afternoon if it's college football, or Sunday afternoon, and you're tailgating. And, some people in some areas of the world might think like a little bit colder environment. But for the most part, you think it's a pretty nice, mild day, and that, there's going to be lots of passing, and it's going to be, clear visibility, and, a great birds chirping, sunshiny, kind of mild fall day. Okay. Well, oftentimes you show up to the field and it's not that. It's the complete opposite of that. You have a game like the Bills and Browns called the Blizzard Bowl from 2007, where the environment around you fundamentally changes. The environment around you guys in your life is fundamentally going to change, whether you like it or not, outside of your control. The Bills and the Browns didn't want to play a game that looks like this, but they had no choice.
Be 6-3. Cleveland won the toss. They'll receive it.
Look at that snow going sideways.
Gets the ball.
Can't even see the field. Look how slow they're running.
And their tight end, Kellen Winslow Jr., should be
flipping all over the field.
He's close to 1,000. Third down and
0-0.
And here's Anderson firing. Edwards with the grab. And Braylon Edwards tripped up.
What a catch. That's about the most dynamic play of the whole game. We can just keep playing like a couple more seconds of it. You can even see the ball in the quarterback's hand. Just doesn't come out the same way it will. Like, what do you do if you're a quarterback and you show up to the field and it's like this? Well, you do what you've always done. If you're an elite level player like these guys, you go out and you control what you can control. The uncontrollables have nothing to do with you. And these gentlemen are an expert in controlling their attitude, how we're going to approach the game, effort, how hard are we going to play, and the set of their mind or their belief systems, regardless of the outside circumstances. So this is what controlling your inner world says, that I'm going to prepare to win the game. I'm going to prepare with the same rigor, the same excellence that I would regardless of the external circumstances. And how many times do we wake up and the world comes at us and then we react to the world? This is part of being optimistic. If you're an optimistic person, there's a prerequisite trait to being optimistic that's fortified from an emotional standpoint. You have to be emotionally strong to be an optimistic person, because part of being optimistic is controlling your attitude, effort, and your belief. And when pessimism hammers you, because it will, you've got to be the person, not that you're going to be the type of person that doesn't break when that happens, that expected change, our first point, and expected change enough to be able to control your attitude, effort, and belief in the face of it. So who are you when disaster strikes is basically my question. Who are you? That's a good question. Who are you when something you did not foresee happening and uncontrollable hits you right in the face? Who are you?
You know, it's interesting. I think about this a lot about myself, because I'm always like feedback looping of like, how can I continue to get better? How can I continue to improve? Especially when you're met with uncertainty. And for me, the hardest part, Devan, is the people around me. If I notice myself leaning more pessimistic when I'm around a bunch of pessimistic people, and then I get out of that and my mindset completely shifts to being optimistic, and then I think back and I'm like, why was I acting that way? That's so out of character for me. And it's an excuse that I'm 100% saying, but I need to get better because it's an environmental cause that I need to learn to expect, because there are going to be people around me that are pessimistic.
It is the most important decision of your life to decide who in the heck you are going to hang around. Because whether you want to be pessimistic or not, I generally believe that nobody actually wants to be. People end up gaining significance through their pessimistic mindset. And that's a very steep and deep kind of like spin out or crash out to be in. When you gain significance off of your bad attitude, like you don't want to be that person or branded that way. But pessimism is going to rub off on you, and it will spread like a virus if you are around it. And it has nothing to do with you. Like, it's not your choice. It is the biological response to the environment. It's called epigenetics. You're going to biologically be informed by the environment that you surround yourself in. You're going to prioritize threat. You're going to mirror emotional state. You're also going to tend to seek a biological belonging. You're going to seek community. And so like your brain will tend to want to kind of double click or second what that pessimistic person just said, because you're biologically wired to want these things, to like mirror emotional states and seek to belong, kind of whether you like it or not. So if I ever find myself in a room with pessimistic people, like nobody ever knows it, but I will politely excuse myself. Like I'll notice it right away, because I've got experience on reading the energy in rooms, and I can look around and see the posture of everyone in the room and know who the emotional anchor is, both in a pessimistic and optimistic form, almost right away. And if I see a lot of people gravitating toward that person that's anchored down, I'm out. Right? And if I see a lot of people gravitating toward the person that's anchored in positivity, then I'll try to stay in that room and add some value to it. So it becomes a radar that you have once you can be aware of the rub-offs. Okay, but you have this evolutionary survival mechanism, this need to fit in and to be a part of your community. That is why you feel that way when you're around people that are kind of like you, like icky. You feel that like, I don't know this, I'm in the wrong room right now.
Yeah.
That's a sign that you're an optimist surrounded by pessimists. right? And if you don't do something about it, you're going to be just like them. Crabs in the, you ever heard this metaphor? The crabs in the bucket metaphor? You ever heard this one?
No.
The crab, if you ever put crabs inside of a, like actual like crabs, like put the actual crustaceans inside of a bucket and you put 30 of them in there, what do? If one tries to escape, what do the other do? They reach up with their claws and they grab them and they pull them back down. Crabs in the bucket want to stay in the bucket. People will reach up with their little pessimistic claws and grab you by your throat and pull you right back down into it if you allow them to. And it's very hard to get out of these pessimistic circles. It's very hard for a crab to escape that bucket. You have to walk away from friendships. And that's against our evolutionary survival mechanisms.
Yeah. You find yourself like making excuses for why you're being positive. Like I'm always like, I'm not trying to like, look at the glass half. I do see the glass half full. There is the other side. And I shouldn't even have to explain this to you because I want you to just see it and believe it and understand it. But then if you're the only one that sees that, then everyone else kind of gangs around you and then you kind of feel like you're the idiot.
Yeah, for sure. And that's not a good feeling either. And so this is part of the decision to flex the optimistic muscle. Yeah. It goes back to, okay, now this is a choice.
Yeah.
Right? This is a choice. You are not inherently a person whose character is pessimistic or inherently a person whose character is optimistic. You vote for that with every single decision you make, every word you say, every room that you're in, every meeting that you take. You are making a vote on whether you are in this camp or that camp. And I promise you, we're going to go through it in a moment, but I can promise you one thing, that being somebody who is pessimistic will leave you far less successful than somebody who is optimistic, and it's not even close. Okay? One piece of literature I'd like to point you guys to is there's a quote from Marcus Aurelius in his book called Meditations. And Meditations is basically a collection of Marcus Aurelius's daily journal, daily diary. He probably would be mortified that we're reading it now because it was like super personal to him. But you can show the cover of this book if somebody wants to get. There's lots of different translations. The translation that you're on, Chelsea, is one of my favorite.
This one or the other one?
Not that one. That doesn't look like the cover.
This one?
Yes. That's a good one right there.
This is Audible, but you get the gist of
it. You can put in Audible or whatever, but Meditations is a great read. It's not a story. It's just, like I said, daily journal entries. And there is a quote from Marcus Aurelius in Meditations. Let me see. I wrote it down somewhere. Oh, yeah. It says, "You will meet people today who are meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous and surly." And he goes on to say, and basically none of that has anything to do with you. That what he's saying is you're going to have pessimism in the world. And if you don't want to be a pessimistic person or you fear falling into that category, then you should wake up every day anticipating that there are going to be people that you're going to meet today who are meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. And that if you encounter these people, actually when you encounter these people, that it wasn't by accident, that every day when you wake up, you actually will encounter these people. It's not something that might happen. You actually will. So you need to make the decision the day before, the night before, to be optimistic, to approach those situations with leadership, to approach those situations with patience, with communication, and to realize that people are going to try to get you off your game on a daily basis. And it's not going to be because of anything you did. It's going to be because of their own pessimistic attitude. They're crab in the bucket trying to pull you back in. But you need to resist that every day if you're going to be a leader of your own life in this world. The
most powerful part of that quote, I feel like, is it has nothing to do with you. Like, And if you think about that, and I have to remind myself of that all the time, it's really more when I think about how people are viewing me, which is similar, because if I think people are viewing me in a negative light, then I turn pessimistic. So if I just know it has nothing to do with me and it has everything to do with them, it's a very easy way to kind of snap myself out of that fake reality that I was living in.
I have a full-time mechanism that snaps me out of to the fake reality permanently. Do you want to hear what it is?
Yes.
That I don't perceive there to be anybody else in the world but me, myself, and my intuition or God. The same thing in my world.
Yeah.
That everyone else is just a rendering of my reality, and that nobody can do onto me, nobody can make me do or feel anything that I don't choose to feel, because it's their own rendering in their own world, where it's them and their self and their intuition or their God, and what I am to them really has everything to do with me, and what I think I am to them has everything to do with me and my perceptions, and nothing to do with their perception of me. So if you walk around every day and you're like, hey, the only person out here is me, it sounds like a very lonely and maybe like potentially like arrogant way to.
If you were pessimistic.
Yeah. If you're pessimistic, it might sound that way.
Yeah.
But to me, what it is, it's an antidote to pessimism to say, I'm optimistic. I am this way. I've trained myself to be this way. And part of the reason I've trained myself to be this way is because I don't allow the outside world to impact my positive party going on in here. You know what I'm saying?
Positive party.
You're letting people rain on your positive parade.
I feel like my inner circle is very small compared to what it used to be, because it's almost exhausting. Because I feel like I'm a fairly optimistic person. And like when you're constantly trying to be that for somebody that's pessimistic, it's almost exhausting to the point where it's like, yeah, okay, this clearly isn't working. So I feel like my inner circle, as I've gotten older, has like shrunk in a good way, of course, because it's like you get the people around you that actually matter and actually have the same kind of mindset as you do.
Yeah, it's an inner and outer circle, right? That, like because I believe that, like Marcus Aurelius is saying, you're going to encounter it all, right? And I have some pessimistic people that have tendencies. They're in my world, but they're not in my inner circle. I have like this inner circle, and that's maybe, what do people say? It's like your circle of influence, your inner circle. And then I have the outer circle, which is almost like the circle of people who I'm concerned with their well-being.
Yeah.
I want you to do really well in life. Like, this is almost the people that, the way I look at it, that I'm a mentor to that circle of people. I can't leave them behind. I'm a leader that says no man or woman left behind. And so that circle of concern is very big for me.
Yeah, you care.
I care. Which is, to Chelsea's point, I hear what you're saying, but also you could get so niched and so that you get down into where you have an echo chamber, and you only hear like this version of the world. And you're not gonna mess with anybody outside of that. So like, I think it's great, but I also think that and you have this too, right? There's a circle of concern of people you actually really care about, and that could be made up of. I mean, heck, for me, that's made up of people who are at rock bottom, the most pessimistic people, because I want to help. I want to help be a rub for them. I know when I walk into that pessimistic room, nobody can influence me. Nobody can influence me. I've already made that decision. I knew last night that I was going to wake up and encounter pessimistic people who are unruly. And I already knew that. So now when I go into rooms, I'm trying to convert people. I'm trying to convert you from optimism, from a pessimism to an optimism world.
I feel like I've maybe seen you do this a little bit, where I think you ask questions. Is that part of your, is that part of the game?
Yeah.
Because it does kind of shift your mindset as the receiving end. It's like, you're asking me a question to make me think deeper about it, rather than attacking me because you don't agree with me.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it depends on who it is, I think, is the question or the answer to that. There's some times where a statement or an attack is something that someone would maybe vibe with, would resonate with that person versus you. I'd never say a statement to you because I know your background and I know where you come from and I know the triggers that you have. And I would approach the truth more delicate, not in a way where I'm not getting to the truth, but I'd approach it in a more delicate way with a question.
Yeah.
So that you would now have ownership.
Yeah.
Because I need you to feel like you have ownership in this thing, and like you actually do have it, not just that you feel that you have it. Somebody else, maybe Matt Morris is a good example of this. His background is he wants to be told like exactly how it is. didn't have a father figure in his life necessarily that was the person that was teaching him, do this, not that. Core value, this is how we act, this is not how. So what resonates with him is to label him. It's like, hey, you're being kind of soft on that. What? Me? Soft? Okay. All right, I'll show you.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I'm talking about there.
Yeah.
So I can, part of this is knowing what room you're in, but yeah, definitely walking into a room and challenging pessimism, whether it be through an attack or a statement or a question. If I care about you, I will not allow you to stay pessimistic. If I've given it my 100% attempt for a long period of time and you're still pessimistic, then you're just not ready. You just like being that way. You find significance in being pessimistic. You put your "we can't do this" hat on, and people come to you when they want to reinforce why they can't do something. They'll come to you to get positive affirmation of why they can't do something. And you find significance in that. We can't be friends anymore. I've tried, and you're unhelpable at this point in time. I'm always open. My door is always open. And if you want to come back into this fold and you want to get the rub from me, I'll give you the rub, but you got to be ready. Make sense? Say yes.
Yes.
Anchor yourself in fitness. That's what you got to do next. Anchor yourself. Got to have something you can anchor yourself in, something positive for you. Something that is hard, that you don't want to do, but you know it's good for you. That's how you combat pessimism, is you anchor yourself in something that you don't want to do. It's difficult, but you know it's good for you.
It's so true. I think about running comes to mind. I mean, even going to early camps or whatever, but people are always like, I don't like to run like you. I'm like, you think I like to run 5 miles? I don't like it inherently, but it challenges me in a positive way. So I've told myself a different story. I know it's good for my body to move my body. If that's the only thing I can do for that day, then I'm going to go for a run. So don't tell me that it's because I like it and you don't. No one loves it. It's just how you've told yourself that the benefits that you're going to get from it.
I got to tell our members something right now. Okay. And you guys might think that I'm maybe fibbing or exaggerating the truth, but I don't really enjoy working out. I don't. There's times and movements where I find joy in it. But what I find joy from is the significance that comes in my life from being the person who can be the inspiration to work out every day, especially when I don't feel like it. So if I felt like working out every day, it's like that doesn't really do much for my world. But because I don't really feel like working out every day, but we do it anyway, that's an anchor.
Yeah.
Right? And so almost nobody actually really likes fitness. If you do, you're 0.000001 outlier.
Yeah.
And you're a crazy person that has no pain tolerance or something like that. There's a guy in the NFL, ex-NFL player named Brian Cushing. He would headbutt people without his helmet on. He would somebody would start a beef with him on the field and he would headbutt him with his helmet on. And then just to show the other guy how significant he was, he would take his helmet off and headbutt him without his helmet on and bust his face up and stuff. This is a sick man.
He's built different.
He's built different.
Yeah.
Right? He's a sick man. If you could find that. Oh, it's probably road right there. It's the second one in. Find that one. Roll that clip. This is a one.
In 2012, Brian
This is a
Cushing
1% mindset.
fell with one of the most reckless
Right here.
plays ever seen. The man J.J. Watt called the baddest dude he ever played with was known for his aggressive style of play. But what happened next will leave you speechless. Cushing took off his helmet and headbutted a Browns player in a moment that will forever be etched in NFL history. His wild side was legendary. But was this too far?
Okay, you can stop it. So you're going to get 1 in 1 million people like that who actually really like it. All of us don't intrinsically enjoy fitness the same way you intrinsically enjoy snuggling on the couch in front of a fire watching a Christmas movie with your family.
Sleeping.
Right? So like, yeah, you might like it, but like I'm talking about joy, like intrinsically enjoy it. Almost nobody. So anchor yourself in fitness is one of my best pieces of advice because it's something that almost nobody intrinsically enjoys. It's something that's ultimately the best thing you can do for yourself. And if you have that dichotomy on your rituals every single day, that's the formula to become an optimistic, or part of it at least, to become an optimistic person, is anchoring yourself in something that forces you to take responsibility and do something that you do not like.
Shift your mindset.
Yeah. Talk about being an adult.
Yeah.
Too. I mean, not trying to offend anybody out there, but I mean, how many people do you know right now who are like 46 years old and they are just 46-year-old children? They still believe the same stuff that their parents taught them when they were 12. They're running off of their parents' ideologies and psychology and have never really changed or deviated from that. And now they're 46 years old and they can't take responsibility for themselves. This is where pessimism is born.
Mm-hmm.
This is where pessimism is born. Because now I have to reinforce the station in life in which I'm in. I never used curiosity to question the ideologies that my parents set forth for me. Therefore, I'm living off that baseline. And now hope is your only strategy because I hope it was the right thing. I hope they were teaching me the right way. Most people wake up, they're 46, their life is in shambles, they're wondering why, and they realize that they had never actually lived on a set of principles and philosophies that was developed by them. It was developed by their parents or their university or their teachers, or and now all of a sudden I'm not a fitness person because my mom told me I wasn't when I was 11.
Mm-hmm.
Because she was never, or he was never.
It's lack of self-awareness at the end of the day, right? I mean, you can't have a lot of self-awareness if you don't know how to improve your own like lifestyle, because then you're just creating excuses for yourself. And those excuses are born in lack of EQ.
Yeah, which isn't an attack, right? Which we actually, right? It could sound like one, but it's not, because I completely agree with you. It's not an attack. It's just shining the flashlight on emotional intelligence and its intersection with being an optimistic person. And all this just stems back to us wanting you to be as successful as you possibly can. If you're here for fat loss and weight loss and fitness, that's great. Most of you are. But I know also that the principles that we teach here on the podcast can stem over into the other kind of 7 areas of life that we talk about. We talk about body, we talk about mind, talk about emotion, spirit, relationships, time, work, money. You have all these different areas of your life, and pessimism doesn't work in any of them. Okay. All right. So let's spend maybe like 10 more minutes. Okay. Let's spend 10 more minutes, and I want to unpack inputs.
Okay.
This has to do with the senses. So this next section here that I want to discuss with you all is called Protect Your Inputs. What are the inputs that we have, Trish? Okay, we have eyes. What inputs do our eyes have? What's some bad inputs nowadays people are watching? What are we watching that isn't healthy for us?
Oh, scrolling on social media.
Social media doom scrolling. That's one. What else?
Trash television.
Trash TV.
Reality TV. Which, by the way, like, let's just use, because I know so many of you watch the Real Housewives of whatever city it is, and you call it like, which is like the same, like there's guy trash TV too. We can talk about what that is. But if we're talking about the environment we're placing ourselves in, the people we're surrounding ourselves with, do you know that your prefrontal cortex, the executive function in your brain, does not know the difference between you enjoying those people's company and from your TV in your bed at your house versus you enjoying those people's company at their dinner table that you just watch them flip over on top of each other because someone stole someone else's like boyfriend like 10 years ago or whatever the case is. So protect your inputs is my point, because what you think is harmless
scrolling on social media, binge watching The Real Housewives, finding joy in their misery. Like what you think is harmless is actually subconsciously shaping who you are and the way that you view the world. And I'm sorry to all of you that are like, wah, wah, Devin, you just bursted my bubble, you popped my balloon. But I am very protective of the inputs that my family has. I'm very protective of that. Do we, all of us, watch junk TV from now and again? Of course we do. I'm not saying don't ever do things like that.
Yeah.
I'm saying don't anchor yourself in rituals like that. This is one way, if we go back to the anchor yourself in fitness, you also can anchor yourself in The Real Housewives.
Yeah.
You can. People do it all the time. I just want to get through the day so that I can get home and cuddle up and watch a show.
Yeah.
You're anchored in that, right? You're addicted to the pessimism. That's going to rub off on you. And it's going to be the exact same neurological association as if you were actually friends with those people inside of that environment, which is a chronically stressful environment to be inside. Maybe you don't feel it as hard, but you definitely, your brain you might not feel it as emotionally hard, but your brain subconsciously will formulate itself around it. So you have Netflix, you have obvious, those are the two big obvious ones, right? So what are we hearing nowadays? And this is a interesting one because the music that we listen to is a subtle foe. I listened to gutter rap music for so long, like I had to stop. It actually was influencing the way that I would communicate with people. I noticed my swear rate has gone way down since stop listening to rap music. Partly because the new age rap music is awful, but partly because I found myself becoming more of a pessimistic person listening to music that was bad for me.
Well, like, okay, so Eminem though, he has some really optimistic songs.
Yeah, he does have some. That's a good one.
Because he's on my running list.
No, you better be easy, okay, Trish, because you can't take me that far. Okay, you can take me as far as me not listening to Eminem music. Pump your brakes, okay?
But I mean, he's rap, and he has like a positive. He cusses a lot for sure, but it's positive. There's a
couple positive songs. You're right. There's a couple positive songs, but I would say that I'd switched the vast majority of what I was listening to country music and like kind of new age rap gospel, like Forrest Frank.
Yeah,
that type of music. And fundamentally, my worldview has shifted.
Yeah,
it's just fundamentally shifted.
Yeah,
my kids also started their life like listening to more pop music, and we've shifted it to more like Forrest Frank type gospel music. And I've noticed their relationship with God has, just because of the music that they're listening to, has gotten deeper. So protect your inputs. What are you reading? What are you listening to? What are you feeling?
Yeah.
What are you allowing yourself to feel? And what are you accepting? Are you allowing yourself to feel shame and just accepting that without questioning it? Are you watching TV, just accepting it and not questioning it? Because whatever you watch, whatever you hear, whatever you touch, whatever you taste, whatever you smell, your inputs are going to be your output. If you have garbage in,
garbage out.
Get garbage out. I'm reading a book. I usually am like listening to an audiobook or two simultaneously as like reading something physical. The physical book I just actually got done reading was called Science of Scale. There's a concept called Raise the Floor. And I wanted to bring this is a business book, but I wanted to bring it here when we're talking about protecting your inputs. So I'm raising the floor on protecting my inputs. So Trish, what are some ways that you raise the floor on the inputs that you have in your life? Like as you've become a more successful person in your life, how is your floor of what you've been willing to tolerate with your own personal inputs or the inputs of your family? How is the floor raised and then eliminated what you guys hear, see, touch, taste, smell?
Oh, I think setting boundaries has been the biggest thing for me. Is I've had to learn to set boundaries. I've had to learn to set boundaries around even just what we're consuming. Like from a television perspective, I choose the podcasts that I listen to make sure that it's inputs that are positive for me, that I'm growing from them, not just like trash, podcasts, which sometimes feel really good in the moment. But if I listen to that, I don't feel as great as if I listen to something that's going to better me in the long run. So I think for me, that if I had to pick like one thing, it's just setting boundaries. It's setting boundaries for the amount of time I spend around people who are negative, and knowing going into it, like with the self-awareness, I think to your point, it's like, I know that I'm about to encounter a bunch of people who are going to be pessimistic. And so for me, I am quick to react to things. If you know me, you know that about me. And so it's helped me a lot to know, okay, I'm thinking ahead. I know this is going to be a negative energy space. I need to take some deep breaths. And so much so that my husband has called me out a couple times. He's like, you are much calmer and lighter after leaving some situations lately. And I go, thank you. I've been working on that. So it's setting the right boundaries for what makes sense for you.
Yeah, that's exactly the right metaphor, right? Is the boundary. And what happens when you close in your boundaries, or in the book, Science of Scaling, you can show that for anybody that wants to see what book I'm talking about. In this book, they call it raising the floor, but it's the exact same concept. It's like, you will get exactly what you tolerate, nothing more, nothing less. So what are your boundaries? What are you willing to tolerate? Raising your floor is the most efficient way to reach whatever goal that you set for yourself, because it eliminates the complexity. Because if your floor is low, you have way more strategies than you do if your goal is very high and your bar, because your goal is high, right? So if I say I'm going to lose 100 pounds in a year versus I'm going to try to lose some weight in the next couple months, right? That's a different floor. That's a different goal.
Yeah.
Right? Because my goal it's a big goal. Losing 100 pounds in 12 months is very specific. It's also very difficult. So versus a goal of I'm going to lose some weight in the next couple months, losing some weight in the next couple months leaves me with many, many more strategies than if I were to say I'm going to lose 100 pounds in the next 12 months. Because I have 100 pounds. If I reverse engineer that, that's a certain amount of weight that I need to lose every single month on average.
Yeah.
And if I go do the math and I reverse engineer how many calories I can have on a daily basis, there's a specific amount of calories that I have to eat today if I'm going to lose 100 pounds in 12 months. And I have to do that then every day. So my calories themselves and the choice on what calories I need to be eating, it gets eliminated by raising my floor. I don't have to make that decision, just because by the product of the goal I set, it automatically tells me where the floor is on that goal. If I just said I want to lose some weight in the next couple months, I just need to be in a deficit.
Yeah.
I could eat 50 calories less, 100 calories less, 200 calories, 500 calories. No, but that 100-pound mark in 12 months says I have to eat a 575 calorie deficit every single day for 12 months if I want to have any shot at losing this weight. So by getting more specific with your goal, the more specific and the bigger you can make your goal, the more it raises the floor, the more it eliminates complexity, the more it makes the choice on what to do very, very obvious. It also works the opposite way. If you don't raise your floor and you lower your floor because you are unwilling, because you know what's on the other side of raising your floor and you're unwilling to actually do that behavior, because you know that raising your floor is going to eliminate all these excuses and strategies and things that you're using to mask taking accountability and actually changing your behaviors, right? I'm not saying you, I'm not preaching at you, I'm saying us, or we, or all of us collectively. If we are saying that there's more strategy, then we're going to have less certainty on getting to that goal. We're going to have more complexity when there's more strategy. Steve Jobs never wore anything other than a black turtleneck sweater and jeans because he wanted to eliminate the thousands of decisions that he was going to have to make on what to wear every day, because his ultimate goal is to be the most productive human possible.
It's fair.
So I raise my goal, I raise my floor, I eliminate strategies, I eliminate decision that I have to make. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's like meal prep.
Meal prep. How is that like meal prep?
Well, it's like, because then I just know what I need to eat because based off of my goals. Like I don't have to make a decision on lunch every single day of the week because I know exactly what I'm going to eat. I know it hits within my calorie range for the week and I'm good to go. And it's one less decision that I have to make. Because let me tell you, I really don't like having to figure out where I'm going to go to lunch. It really bothers me. More times than not, I just choose not to eat lunch because I don't want to make a decision. So, but I also know it's important to eat food. So therefore, I meal prep, done.
When you take on a responsibility, I think you're going along with the 100 pounds in 12 months metaphor. When you take on the responsibility of a goal like that, where we become pessimistic and depressed ultimately is when we choose not to take on the responsibility that we told ourselves that we were going to take on. I just went through a whole 5-year period where I was just breaking promises about my health to myself, left and right, especially with nutrition, with alcohol, with THC, like gummies and things like that. I chose this difficult responsibility to bring 10,000 locations to the world, 10,000 Burn Bootcamp locations to the world. That responsibility was not aligning to the behavior that I was having on an everyday basis. So the goal that I had set, or the blueprint that I had set for myself, was misaligned to the daily activity, or the budget didn't match the actuals, as we would say in a business context, meaning what we thought we were going to do when we got there, we didn't do that, or we did better, or we did worse. We didn't do the same. So by choosing a difficult responsibility, I'm putting myself in a position to break promises, which is the double-edged side of that sword. So it's so important to choose difficult responsibilities that you can actually follow through with. And difficult to me is different than difficult to you, Trish.
Yep.
It's different than difficult to a former member of mine, Brandy, who I wrote about in that book, Stop Starting Over. And Brandy lost hundreds of pounds. Brandy chose a difficult responsibility to go on to this journey with me. And then every single day, her actions aligned with that decision. And she lost hundreds of pounds and changed her life. I've also had people make that same decision, but then go home and binge eat every night and not tell me. And then actually lie to me and come back and tell me they weren't doing that when they actually were. And of course, that just exacerbates your pessimism and your depression. It reinforces this negative cycle you get into. And then it becomes a I told you so mentality. This isn't going to work. I'll try it anyway. And I told you this isn't going to work. See? Then what happens is I have a negative belief that gets reinforced. So choosing responsibility appropriately is so important, because difficult is relative. If you're somebody that has never gone a day in your life without eating fast food, probably going to no fast food at all is a responsibility that you're setting yourself up for failure and disappointment and pessimistic I told you so behavior or model of the world. When if I just said, hey, take the bun off your sandwich. Go to fast food every day, just take the bun off your sandwich. That's a difficult responsibility that's actually manageable, that you can actually follow through on your promises. So be very careful and be cautious of the impossible goal, or that big goal that I have you set. I want it to be big enough to be doable, but not big enough to be crushing, to where you have no idea where to start. Does that make sense, Trish?
Yeah, I don't want to set yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People do that more often than not. So I wanted to end the podcast talking about choose the appropriate difficult responsibility for yourself. You don't have to go from never working out, being on the couch, eating fast food every day, to working out every day, meal prepping, and right, like, you don't have to do that. Okay? Positive momentum, small wins. Just taking the bread off the sandwich is a perfectly great strategy to get you some momentum to get to where you want to go. So I think that's good.
Yeah.
If you guys have any questions, thoughts, comments, you want to expand upon this, remember, we are live on YouTube. Our main account just hit 100,000 subscribers. Thank you, everybody. The podcast channel is next. So if you are not subscribed specifically to the Burn Bootcamp podcast channel, go there, subscribe now, because you're going to get the notifications when our new videos drop. We're dropping 2 every single week. And if you enjoyed this episode, I want you to go right here to episode number 522. Shift your mindset with these 6 questions, and we'll go deeper on this discussion that we're having right over here. So I'll see you there, okay? Or I'll see you next time. Thanks for being here, everybody. We'll end it like we always do. 2 claps on 2. 1, 2.